Happy Hanukkah! Shalom Mishpacha! Welcome family to another episode of A Small Sanctuary with Rabbi Esther. Today we are going to be talking about Hanukkah versus Christmas. Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel where we talk about imbuing Jewish life with meaning, beauty and purpose in the small sanctuaries of our homes, shining our light beyond. I'm Rabbi Esther and I'm going to dive into controversy with some hot takes, some spicy hot takes today through the discussion of Hanukkah versus Christmas. So if you have been a follower for a while now, you may remember that last year I did a video on Hanukkah and the winter solstice. That was kind of a reframing of Hanukkah not as a competitor to Christmas, but rather as a type of convergent evolution that Christmas and Hanukkah and Diwali and other winter seasonal solstice festivals for that matter are actually converging in response to a common denominator, that being the climate and the dark days of winter. What I wanted to achieve with that video is to take the sting out of this sense that we sometimes feel that Hanukkah is like Christmas's little blue and white brother. So I will link last year's video here so you can watch it yourself. It's quite long and thorough and, brings in loads of interesting sources, including Adam and Eve's first solstice festival in the Garden of Eden from the Talmud. So please check that out. But what I wanted to do today is build a little bit on that video, because in my rabbinic practice, I hear a lot of people express anxiety about the relationship between Christmas and Hanukkah. And what I would like to do is help us lower the temperature, dial down some of that anxiety that we feel, and talk a little bit about how we can approach this December dilemma a little bit differently and a little bit more fruitfully. I think it's important to remember that Christmas itself has evolved. The Christmases of antiquity, the medieval period, the early modern period are not the Christmases of the Victorian era all the way to today. In a sense, you can blame or credit, depending on your perspective, the Victorians for Christmas as we know it, as a feast of conspicuous consumption, as consumer goods were mass produced and became more widely available. That is when Christmas started evolving into something we recognize commercially today in the Western world. Hanukkah in a way has gone down a similar trajectory. And I don't think that is necessarily about Hanukkah following Christmas, but that Christmas has undergone commercial changes, and so has Hanukkah. In that light, I highly recommend the book Hanukkah in America, A History, written by a historian called Dianne Ashton. She takes the reader throughout the turbulent history of Hanukkah in the United States, going from a minor festival, both in conjunction with the birth of the State of Israel, and what we might term the quote-unquote Christmification of Hanukkah, end quote. There is a lot of historical context that will actually make you appreciate how Hanukkah is evolving today in the United States and elsewhere. Now, you may lean into that or you may reject that. And that's also a conversation that I know that a lot of Christian communities are having about the spiritual nature of Christmas versus the commercial or recreational nature of Christmas. And of course, there are many thoughtful Christian commentaries on this. And this is something for their community to really figure out. But we are here to talk about Hanukkah. And one of the things that often comes up is, Rabbi, how do I celebrate Hanukkah if I also have to celebrate Christmas? I.e., maybe it's with coworkers, maybe it's with your interfaith family, non-Jewish friends, non-Jewish family. What do I do? And is it so terrible if I celebrate Christmas? And what about having a Christmas tree in my own home? So here is where my spicy hot take comes in, which is, drum roll, I don't think it matters very much. There you go. I said it. in the grand sweep of us embracing our Judaism in a positive way, I don't think the Christmas tree is going to kill the Torah. I don't think that we need to feel as anxious as we do if people choose to engage or celebrate Christmas as Jews or as Jewish adjacent or Jew curious folk. Now, let me be clear, I am not endorsing a celebration of Christmas. I don't celebrate Christmas. It is a holiday that is Christian in origin, that has become culturally ubiquitous, that for many people, including Jews and non-Jews, no longer has so many Christian connotations, but of course it is rooted in Christian connotations. But the reality is that a lot of Jews and family members of Jews have Christmas trees and some of the secular trappings and the cultural trappings of Christmas, and Jews struggle a lot with whether they should engage in that. So, no, I don't think you should engage in that, but we can all think a host of different things about how to live our Jewish lives. If you empower yourself and make a thoughtful choice for you to engage in that, I want to offer you some guidance that helps you maintain your sense of Jewishness. I always teach friends, and this is the hill I will die on, that Judaism is not a zero-sum game. You don't stop being Jewish if you put up a Christmas tree. You don't stop being Jewish if you don't eat kosher. You don't stop being Jewish if you don't keep Shabbat. There are so many positive choices that we can make as Jews that enhance our Jewish identification, that bring depth to our Jewish spirituality, and that reaffirm our Jewish commitments. And I don't think that any one thing, whether it's the bacon cheeseburger at McDonald's or a Christmas tree, is going to demolish the entire structure of our Jewish selves. And I wish we could relax about it a little bit, because I think that a lot of these discussions about Christmas and Hanukkah make people feel very anxious at a time where they want to try and get it right, and they feel like they're not getting it right. The beauty of Judaism, the beauty of the system of mitzvot, of Torah, of living this sacred path, is that there are so many entry points into that sacred path. And that sacred path is not a zero-sum game. Every mitzvah has value. Every Jewish act has value. Every thoughtful Jewish decision or piece of Jewish learning that you engage in has value. And I don't think that doing something not Jewish or something that seems to contradict Judaism is going to demolish that internal palace of our own Jewishness that we hold within ourselves. So if you do have a Christmas tree at home, you do you. There are many ways in which you can show up as a thoughtful, committed, Judaism-loving Jew, even with the Christmas tree. Because if you step away from kind of the hot button issues around this and see this as a winter festival, and yes, there is an element of acculturation and assimilation, given that Christmas is part of the dominant majority culture. If we take a step back from that and say, you know what? Instead of pondering the things that we feel we are not doing right, focusing on the things that we do right, I think that is a much healthier way into Judaism, a much healthier way into our sense of self. Now, there are ways to step away from the practice of Christmas. Many people who convert to Judaism struggle with this. How do I step away from practicing Christmas? It has many deep positive associations for me, a lot of childhood memories, a lot of family memories. Again, it's not a zero-sum game. It's a journey. It's a path, step by step. And I would add to that there are actually many ways for people to incorporate their Christmas traditions into Hanukkah that can feel very Jewishly authentic. Judaism has always incorporated other influences into its practices and Judaized them. So bring in your family recipes, your cookies, your games, your traditions, and make them Jewish. There are ways in which you can enhance your Hanukkah. If you want a minimalist approach to Hanukkah, a low-key approach that sees it for the minor holiday that it really is. You know, the big spectacular stuff really happens around Pesach and Rosh Hashanah. That's cool. But if you want to enhance your Hanukkah and take a more maximalist approach of Hanukkah, because it gives you joy, because it makes you feel connected to other seasonal festivals at this dark, grim, cold time of year, that's also really okay. Basically, my conclusion is this. The takeaway is this. We just need to lower the temperature on some of these discussions. We need to step away from the cultural wars that we fight about Christmas and Hanukkah. Let's just focus on enjoying our Hanukkah. And if we do interface with Christmas in some way because of relationships we have, let's focus on enjoying that time too and showing up as a good guest or a good host or a good friend, coworker, family member, and bring our Hanukkah consciousness into those experiences rather than feeling that we show up short. So that, my friends, is my spicy hot take. Judaism will only survive and only thrive if we bring our whole selves into it with joy and compassion and curiosity, not if we feel like, well, I can't seem to get it right, so I might as well not try. At these tender times, we need to show up for each other as Jews, in solidarity with each other, support the many different paths that we walk, the many different types of Judaism we showcase today, the many different complex and nuanced and thoughtful and complicated choices that we make living as Jews. Hanukkah is not about one stock answer or one way to practice. The beauty of Hanukkah is because it is relatively sparse in religious terms, we can be creative with it, we can evolve it, we can really make it our own, and there is no set formula to do that. I wish you and all of your loved ones a very happy Hanukkah. And if your loved ones are celebrating Christmas, I wish you a very Merry Christmas. Let's focus on the things that we can do instead of the things that we don't do. The things that make us fall in love with our own Judaism, the things that bring a little bit of light to the world. There is more Hanukkah content coming. You may remember, if you have followed me last year as well, that I did an 8 nights, 8 values thing for Hanukkah last year. I'm going to be doing it again this year with fresh new values. So stay tuned for that. I look forward to sharing that with you. I might throw in a little Hanukkah decorating video footage as well and see how that comes along. And meanwhile, Chag urim, sameach. If you like this kind of content, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a comment. I love comments. I hope to grow this channel to 500 subscribers for Hanukkah, and then I want to bump it up to 1K. So help me do that. Share the love, and I will see you in the next video. Shalom uvracha, with peace and blessings from my bite to your bite. Bye.